Good evening. My name is Ian Kiger, and I'm here to talk a little bit about whistleblowing, or what a whistleblower is. To jump right into it, whistleblowing or whistleblower is someone who exposes information about a company or organization who is doing something illegal or against an industry standard. As you could imagine, this would cause a lot of backlash from a company. So, different laws and acts have been passed to help protect an individual who decides to come forward and speak out against the organization. So, today we're just going to talk a little bit about the history of whistleblowing, kind of where it started, and how America has progressed in passing laws and acts to protect whistleblowers. And maybe jump into a few stories that kind of describe the ethical dilemmas behind whistleblowing. So the first case we really see of what whistleblowing laws was actually in England during the medieval times. This was called caeteam. It was Latin for the phrase, he who prosecutes for himself prosecutes for the king. Basically, this was a way for individuals to help police businesses and other organizations, or other individuals even then, back then, to make sure that they were paying the monarchy and they weren't cheating the king himself. This was an act that individuals could go and report to the king and be protected for doing so. Fast forward, this was still in effect all the way through the colonial times, pre-revolution. But we didn't really see this become like laws or regulations passed by U.S. Congress until the Civil War. What happened during the Civil War was you had privateers selling to both sides, Union and Confederate, and they were taking high advantage of the different armies. They were selling them supplies, muskets, and food for outrageous prices, and most of these were bad products. They were lemons, they were maggoty food. I mean, just all sorts of stuff that really they were taking high advantage of these armies. So Congress passed a law that enabled them to sue these individuals or businesses that were selling them bad product for bad prices. But what else was in this law that kind of relates it back to the whistleblowing more so was it was going to protect or pardon individuals who would come out and speak against. Even if they had previously been a part of it, they could now turn in someone else who was the head of it and either be rewarded or not punished. So, fast forwarding, we don't really see much more in the US until the 1980s. Most of this maybe is because there's more of a free market in the country, and so businesses weren't as heavy regulated. It could also be that we had a lot more wars and people were focusing on that rather than the stock market. But we see that we really get into more issues with businesses and organizations in the 80s. So there we amended the False Claims Act in 1986, and shortly after, the Whistleblower Protection Enhancement Act was passed. So this is where it really gets more nitty-gritty for a whistleblower. This is going to protect them more so, allowing nothing, or this was to protect them from their company. So if someone, for example, blows the whistle, this now enables them to not be discriminated or fired or what have you at their place of work. They are now able to blow the whistle if they see fit, and really no repercussions should take place against them. And the government now protects an individual from that if he, says, hey, this company's committing fraud, or if this company is, laundering money or doing other illegal activities. They're able to come forth and say something. Now, say if someone says, oh, this company didn't give me a raise, so I'm going to go say that they're doing illegal activities. There are repercussions against the individual for false claims against the company itself. Other acts and laws have been passed: Sarbanes-Oxley, the Food and Safety Modernization Act, the Dodd-Frank Act, the Wall Street Reform. That was a pretty big one. The Consumer Protection Act. And there's been a few others that are more industry related to that. So oftentimes we see that people will blow the whistle, but a lot of times they don't. There can be quite an ethical dilemma to whistleblowing. People often think that maybe it's not their business and they should kind of stay out of it because what the company is doing might not harm them. So we're not really gonna. It's only maybe harming Uncle Sam's tax dollars. So maybe we'll just stay out of it. But that's actually an issue too, because as we see with companies like Enron or WorldCom, these companies were committing fraud, and it's not just hurting Uncle Sam from getting all his tax dollars; it's hurting investors. So if a company is committing fraud or something else illegal, they might be imposing their numbers to create more investing opportunities that brings in more revenue from them. So it's theft. It's straight fraudulent theft, and that's an issue with some of these companies, and that's why whistleblowers are important. They're able to help police the market, the industry, the economy, and to help from companies taking advantage of individuals as well as the government. So this was just a brief presentation on whistleblowers and what they are. Thank you for tuning in.